What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Run Your Mouth podcast. We're here in the living room. Saturday morning, going to give you a rundown of everything. And look at that. St. Michael hopping on right away. You know what? There should be an award for whoever is the first person to hop on to like the stream. I'm going to work on that. I'm going to get a new sponsor, and that's going to be a thing because you never know when these streams are coming on. So we're going to make it like a fucking lottery. If you hop on first, maybe I'll mail you like a sandwich in the mail or like a gift certificate. We're going to do that. I'm going to talk to Robert. Robert's coming on later in the show. Maybe we'll make that the 2023 Sheath promotion. And as long as we're talking about Robert, immediately following the show, if you go to the Sheath YouTube page, he will be doing a live episode where you can win $100 worth of Sheathwear. That's the Sheath live stream on the Sheath YouTube channel at noon Eastern. All right. I hope everyone's having, a good start to their new year. I'm doing pull-ups and rye whiskey. That's my new workout regimen. I've cut the cake. I'm off the cake, but I'm back on drinking and smoking weed at night. I got my nice little vape pen from yodeltas.com. Use promo code Rob. You get yourself a RYM. You get 20% off. But that's the life I'm living now. Late at night, rye whiskey during the day. I mean, at the evenings, and then all day, it's just pull-ups, squats, push-ups. I don't even leave this house. It's like I'm on a prison regiment where we're just going to be doing more run your mouths, and I'm going to get fucking shredded, dudes. So you want to join me, you get yourself some Sheath underwear, you start doing pull-ups, squats, and you drink yourself some rye whiskey. All right, let's get right into it because we do have quite a few news topics to discuss. We've got Steven coming on who will be doing a update on everything about because there's been interesting things going on in football. Steven, because we're going to be discussing this stuff not on YouTube in a little bit. Steven's become a very big football fan. He used to be our resident Nine scientist. He used to inform us on all the things that no one else was seemingly able to cover about new things that existed in the world. Come 2020, we're being very cryptic here. We don't want the YouTubers to know exactly what we're discussing, so we're being very careful with our words. But now, Steven's become a very big football fan. And so later in the episode, we're going to get to that. But first, let's do a rundown of some of the week's biggest topics. What do we got? All right. On today's episode, first, economists are cheering that we no longer have to fear inflation. That's right. Inflation has fallen to 6.5%. And why that means you no longer have to be concerned about the fact that your money is only worth 6.5% less than it was last month, when it was decreasing at a value rate of 8%, while the government's pushing new spending. So everybody, we're past the inflation thing. Go read the news articles. It's fallen for 6 straight months. We're now hitting 6.5% a month, so you don't even need to worry about it. I mean, sure, your money's going to continue to be worth less and less. They're going to commit to spending more and more, and then they probably don't have full control over hitting that 2% target. So who knows when it's going to spike again. But the fact that it's been reduced for 6 straight months down to 6.5% means you don't even need to concern yourself with this anymore. Doesn't that feel nice? You might as well, everyone, just go out and spend right now. What are you going to save your money for? Inflation's practically over. What else we got? Proud Boys leader's seditious conspiracy trial starts and how aggressive prosecutors are going to be towards members of the FBI, with claims from the deep wedge of footage of door opening classes. I'm going to film that sketch. I'm going to film the FBI sketch where they're dressed like the people in front of like the valet people in front of buildings. What the fuck you call those people? The people with the doorman. Maybe that was the word I was looking for. It was right there. I really shouldn't have missed that word. That one was right there. I think I'm talking about doormen at fancy buildings. I'm going to run the FBI class where, you got to take your doorman classes to make sure that in the event of a riot that you may or may not have put together with Nancy Pelosi, you're at the front lines and you're able to get other people into the building so that they can be arrested at a later point in time. All right, we got more topics. That's not the end. Concierge. Thank you. Forest Mommies coming through with the words I was looking for. I'm going to go with doorman, though. I feel like that one was more obvious. But concierge, because I don't think I was thinking of a concierge. Concierge is the person on the inside that you can ask them for make arrangements for you, but then you got to feel weird because you never have $1 bills on you, and then you always think you're going to tip later, and then you don't want to tip later. It becomes a thing. The concierge just makes the arrangements. The doorman's the guy who opens the door. It's nice and simple. I don't think we have to debate this one. All right, what else we got? Survey. Percentage of Americans believing anti-Semitic conspiracy theories rises sharply, proving that education is on the upswing since the pandemic. So that's pretty good. People are all like, hey, no one's learning anything. But apparently, people have learned something. It's not all bad. And then here, nearly twice as many Americans believe in anti-Semitic conspiracy theories and tropes now than in 2019, according to an Anti-Defamation League survey. But are the Jews going to do anything to act less Jewy? We explore what the JDL survey looks like. All right, there you go. I forgot to play the intro music, but just pretend. Maybe you guys can re-listen to all those news stories and then just play like that fancy news music in your own brain so that it all flows. I think you guys get where I'm coming from. All right, first news story. We got the FAA glitch, grounded flights across the country. And here's what I find most concerning. They don't know what happened for 25, 30, 50 years. I don't know how long we've had American airplanes in this country. You've been able to fly. And sure, occasionally there was a problem. Occasionally a door didn't open. The gate thing couldn't get there. Some kid puked. There were holdups. It's not like we had a perfect system. But in my lifetime, I never heard of the FAA system going down. And so you get the FAA system goes down. They keep everyone grounded for an entire morning. And then they go, all right, well, it's resolved, but we don't know what happened. And doesn't that make you more nervous? Because that means that it could happen at just about any time. So that's their official statement is, hey, guys, you don't have to be concerned about the FAA because it could just fail at any time again, at any minute, even while you're in the air. I mean, you could be in the air and then they could decide nobody can land because the FAA system's down. Or you could be about to be, what my biggest fear with the plane is just getting when you get stuck on the fucking tarmac. Is there anything worse than just being stuck on the tarmac? You got no idea how long you're going to be there for. They tell you still got to keep that seatbelt on. You got to keep your seatbelt. It's like we're not even moving. Where you get a lot of collisions going. You get a lot of collisions going once the planes are just sitting on the runways. Are you guys that inefficient that you get planes that just keep crap? Well, why didn't you wear the seatbelt for? But they want you wearing that seatbelt because they know you take that seatbelt off. It just takes one person that jumps up to get to their overhead, and then everyone starts getting up to the overhead. And you always got to like it when you got one sprinter in the back, one person who's there who thinks that even though he's in the back row, he can just grab his case and get all the way up to the front before the people in the first class, and it never works out. It never works out because then somebody box him out. Someone sees that guy's coming. He goes, oh, we got a runner here. And he goes, I'm not going to cut in front of me. So I don't know what I was getting at. But, the good news is the FAA was down for a day. Pete Buttigieg, he's gone, listen, I've been put in charge of this and I could have been president. I mean, I'm a qualified individual here and I take transportation so seriously. I pretend like I bike myself to work. And so, all these talks of the renovations I was going to be doing to make sure that your airports look fancier, we're going to put those on hold. And I've sent a letter. And once you send a certified letter, people can't ignore you. So I've sent a certified letter to these other institutions that they got to let me know what's up. So don't worry. You don't even have to worry about it. Sure, no one knows what happened, but you don't got to worry about it. All right. What other news topics do we have coming? All right. Here we go. I was going to take some comments, but they didn't really excite me. So sorry, guys. Step up your comment game. Here we go. Biden lawyers reportedly find second set of classified vice president documents in second location. All right. The classification level, number, and precise location of the additional documents was not immediately clear. It was also not immediately clear when the additional documents were discovered and if the search for any other classified materials Biden may have from the Obama administration is complete. But I don't understand. Why don't we just assume that it was nuclear codes? Why aren't we just on the news going, all right, well, we don't know what it was, so it's probably the most dangerous thing that ever existed. I mean, if he had piles in his house, it was clearly things he wanted to sell to the Chinese. Why else would he have things in his house? I mean, something like, they should just, why aren't we jumping to a level 17 right away? He actually had a nuclear submarine in his garage. They had secret technology. It was like Ant-Man where he shrunk it. He was keeping it in the thing. And then if anything went wrong at any point in time, he'd be able to blow it up and he'd have his own nuclear sub, except he doesn't know how to safely operate it. So then we would just have a nuclear sub sitting in the middle of the streets of Washington, D.C. How come we don't have news reporters spinning these kind of stories? I mean, if we're not sure what was in there, I mean, shouldn't we just assume that it was the absolute worst and most dangerous things possible? There's something great about Donald Trump that he just is like this giant mirror that for some reason, when people go after him, you know what I mean? It just seems to shine a light back onto them. Like there's something about the way the Matrix is set up that for some reason, when you go after Trump, you just end up fucked for the same things. Unless maybe this is a way of trying to get them all out of the race. Hey, we can't have these old guys working in this office. They're clearly all bad with paperwork. And this entire government bureaucracy, well, it runs off an efficient filing of paperwork, and we can't have us putting classified markings on things that aren't that important, then presidents just bringing it to their home, claiming that they declassified it. No, we need structure and order here. We've got librarians who are supposed to be sorting through all this paperwork, and we can't have old people being this reckless. I mean, if they're being this reckless with paper, isn't that the funny that becomes like where the highest form of corruption? It's like we don't look into Hunter Biden. We don't look to whether or not this guy's been bought by the Chinese. We don't look at any of that information. But if there's one thing the government won't let you fuck up, it's proper paperwork. I mean, it's DMV standards for everybody. You can't, I don't care if you've been standing in the wrong line, you're supposed to have that form. Now you're in this. That's not the way this thing works. I mean, even at the highest levels, you think you got to be president and all of a sudden you're beyond doing proper paperwork. It doesn't work that way. We're holding people to the highest of standards. This picture was making the round because there was this Dookie moment on where the Duke man goes. And by the way, the Duke man, he's selling it a little bit. He's making this thing out to be a bigger scandal than it is. Who cares? Bunch of documents. I don't care about documents. It's only funny because after they've given Trump such a hard time about documents, turns out this guy, he's also bringing home documents. And then not only is he bringing home documents, this is an excuse. So Dookie goes, "What were you thinking?" And he goes, "Well, it was in a locked garage. It's where the Corvette is. I had a lock like that. Like, yeah, that's the secure facility. The secure facility is that it was inside his garage." And then someone found this picture and they're like, "Are those the papers?" He literally just has boxes in the background behind his Corvette. It's completely I mean, this is the one if I somehow managed to become president, this is the way I would operate too. I would just have boxes in the garage. Someone would go out for a beer and go, "Hey man, you got nuclear codes over there?" I'll be like, yeah, I got to get those back at some point. It's that's on my to-do list. We'll get there. I know. The file shouldn't be there. You get the beers or not. All right. One more thing on this one. So we got special counsel to investigate Biden's handling of classified information. And here's the quote. Biden said he was cooperating fully and completely and is committed to doing everything he can to return the ketchup bottles to the White House. So don't worry. Biden totally understands the situation. He understands the gravity of what's transpired, and he's fully committed to doing everything he can. And then here was another nonsense claim. So this one came from NPR. We are confident that a thorough review will show that these documents were inadvertently misplaced and the president and his lawyers acted promptly upon the discovery of this mistake. So firstly, the idea that the lawyers acted promptly when this is 7 years after he's out of office, 8 years out of office. Hey, we got right on. Well, there was some incompetence here. I mean, if you're telling me that these documents are classified and they're super important, you can't now tell me you acted promptly. This certainly isn't prompt. Prompt would have been if a month after he left office, shit, I fucked up. Every time I go to see a beer, I'm looking at codes for nuclear submarines. That would be promptly. I mean, I guess even more diligent would be not taking them. I mean, why specifically this batch of files? I mean, if you're going to have a box of files that you want to have ready right in your garage that's just misplaced right next to your refrigerator like that, and you're keeping it by the Corvette, why is it this box of files? Why specifically these classified documents? Is that the to-go bag? Is that you got the JFK files? People start coming after you. You throw that into your trunk. You just start heading west. Or are those the files to gain access to some facility in the middle of the desert that they stash the aliens in? And so there's actually just one flying saucer. And you think if you can get there before the other politicians that have access to this classified documents, you might be able to take sail to that other distant planet where the other politicians, elite and lizard people live. And so you might be able to escape the nuclear war. Is that what's going on here? Is that why you got these papers right next to your Corvette? You got evacuation plans that are only supposed to be for the current sitting president, that if something were to happen, he can run to the secure facility that's got the UFOs to bring him safely with the lizard people to another planet. Is that what's going on? And you were keeping it right by your Corvette so you could just stash it into the trunk and make a run for it. You're not even going to call Hunter Biden. Maybe he's the one person. Hunter, it's time. Grab the Chinese girls. We got to go. Nuclear war. We got to get to the facility. All right. I mean, it leaves questions to be answered, which means that there's nothing to do but to make up complete and utter bullshit in order to fill in the blanks. That's what I told you guys. That's the show now. Nobody knows. Nobody's reporting. I'll give you the most interesting, nonsensical explanation. This was the other part that I enjoyed about this, is that he said that the documents were inadvertently misplaced. Well, I guess so. It was an accident. It was just a mistake. Well, kind of like Trump. Trump mistakenly thought that he declassified the documents. Turns out he classified the documents. No big deal. So I guess having classified documents, no big deal. No big deal. Hey, we found out 7 years later, we acted promptly. That's promptly in government. That's actually promptly. That is promptly. That is getting things done. Hey, it only took us 7 years to recognize this. So, we're ahead of schedule. All right, let's take a couple comments. I've been getting after a couple days off, a couple days of rest, all this pull-ups and rye whiskey, and got some real energy coming at you. Forest Mommy, proper paperwork for the government is shredding it. Mark Haskins, inflation now a low 6.5%. Exactly. What else we got? David Allen, paperwork is the biggest weakness of the deep state. They need paperwork to make things happen. Oh, and a lot of companies and a lot of departments. All right, we'll take one more. Larry Bird Jr. Chevy must be coming out with an e-Corvette. I haven't heard anyone talk about Corvettes this much in decades. Last, St. Michael agreeing with Forest Mommy. All right, I think I had one more on this. So this was from the New York Post. They're claiming that this whole Biden thing, here, I'll read it to you. The University of Pennsylvania received more than $30 million from Chinese donors shortly after the Penn Biden Center for Diplomacy and Global Engagement, which functioned as an office for Joe Biden before he was elected president, was announced in 2017, according to public records. And really, the Chinese, they were just returning Hunter Biden's hooker money. He was there for a couple years, buying up all these girls, and they were just like, all right, we can't just have the Bidens running, going broke because of Hunter's hooker habits, and so they collected the money and gave it back to him. No, some fishy stuff going on there. Can I say for certain that this was the center by which the Chinese were making their payments to the Bidens so he could sell them secrets? Absolutely not. But, looping you guys in. That's the storyline that the New York Post is spinning. All right, now let's take a moment and plug another one of our sponsors, Jake's Mint Chew. If you guys are into CBD, you like the CBDs, you find yourself all anxious, you want some of the benefits, well, you can get yourself the delicious pouches from Jake's CBD. Firstly, if you're a disgusting, gross human being who still chews nicotine, don't do that anymore. This is a good way to quit. You put this right in your gums. It's delicious. You get some of the calming, delicious benefits of CBD. Or if you're just a fan of CBD in general, then why not support our sponsor, Made in America? I think Massachusetts to be exact. And if you go to jakesmintchew.com, they got a whole line of products. They got delicious pouches. And then, of course, they got gummies. They got soaps. They got all sorts of fun stuff. So go to jakesmintchew.com. You use promo code ROB. You're going to get yourself 15% off. I'm pretty sure that was the promo code. And anyways, I'm telling you guys, I like this stuff. Pouches taste good. Put them on your gums. Get the benefits of CBDs. It's all a good time. And it's not like calories of eating cake. So there you go. You can quit smoking. You can not have the calories of eating cake. And you can have delicious CBD. And you can support the show. Has there ever been more things that you could get done all in one transaction? I don't think so. All right. Now, everybody, that was look it. We did 20 minutes on YouTube. So for all you people who are watching live on YouTube, and I've enjoyed your comments, and we're going to revamp the studio, so we got another system for comments. But I like to be a respectful individual of the YouTube community. I understand it. YouTube has a certain community that they're looking to cultivate. And sometimes the information that I have is not suitable to that community. I just like to be an upsell. YouTube, if you're listening right now, or Lords of Censorship, I'm doing everything I can to try and be a respectful member of your community. And so as I believe that this conversation might be too informative for your platform, that's what I think. I think the members of your community, they only like a certain degree of information. And if things become a little bit too informative, that's a little too much. So we're going to go somewhere else. You know where we're going to go? I'm going to pull us down from from YouTube right now. But if you go to Twitter, name's Robbie the Fire. We will remain live, and maybe I'll pull up my Twitter if you guys want to respond over there. I can pull up the comments, and then also I'm live on Twitch. All right, coming down, and then we are going to pull up Steven and get into some news stories here.